who, what, when, where, why, and how about this course. I am just an ordinary human being, no better or worse than most people. My name and my life are completely irrelevant and unimportant to what you have to learn here. However, what is relevant is that I have worked with the contents of this course every day for 45 years. So I think I can say that I know where this leads. Furthermore, I have carried out regular cross-checks with a community of other people across various continents, in various countries, in order to check that my results are in fact objective and are not something that are purely personal. Personal results are valid a good deal less than ones that are impersonal. The sources of the teaching are mainly based upon the exercises passed on by Rudolf Steiner, and then those that were based upon them from Massimo Scaligero, and advice I received from Michael Wilson in the UK and Gerard Crockenbring in France. Other living collaborators that I have worked with are mentioned elsewhere by first name only, and will continue to be so until you are in a position to make personal contact, and then you can have their full details, obviously. What is this course? This course is a standalone source for inner self-training. This is absolutely useless unless you make use of it, unless you actually practice the exercises. It should be self-evident. Reading about doing something, or like reading about drinking water, will not quench your thirst. Similarly, reading about inner discipline will not produce that discipline in you or its results. This course is devised for everyone. You already have everything you need by being a human being apart from what is in this text. These techniques were first publicized at the start of the 20th century, but most of the contents in this course have only been passed on verbally up until now, for the most part. The techniques are probably considerably older than that, and there are reasons to believe that they carry on in an unbroken tradition going back a few centuries. The exercises, the comments, the opinions and experimental conclusions are identified as such throughout the course. Plus there are some descriptions and seed words, each of which are carefully identified so that you know where you are and what you are doing with what you have. Now, the fact is that you can perform everything that is in this text without disturbing your real everyday life. Each exercise only needs 5 minutes to be practiced properly, and I do not suggest you ever exceed a maximum of 30 minutes. They should be performed in sequence as set out, and each exercise should be performed for 28 days, which is a lunar month, before you start the next one. This gives you a period so that you know what you're doing and you don't just start off as a complete beginner before you start the next exercise, because they dovetail into one another, as will become clear once you have completed most of the course. You add techniques one by one. It is possible to synchronize the performance of those techniques following a timetable that is published also, and which is one that enables people to have a kind of regular timing for the performance of those exercises, makes it easy for other people to follow on. In time, of course, no exercise will be needed, and what you will have produced are faculties inside yourself, certain approaches to knowledge, and that transformation inside you will have taken place, but you determine which way that transformation goes. You are in charge of everything. And only for the purpose of comparison, there is a table of progress timing at the end, so that you can see how you're performing. It gives you some kind of benchmark. Where you perform these exercises, wherever you happen to be at the time. This can be done at home, at work, in bed, while traveling. But though at the start you will need to find somewhere quiet. And for that I have one main suggestion, and that is that you start in the WC, because you can lock the door and not be disturbed. Obviously you can't deal with people hammering on the door, but by and large it's usually a safe place to get a few minutes peace and quiet. Once you are familiar with how to do the techniques, you can actually test your performance by deliberately going out into noisy and distracting places such as markets, stock exchanges, football matches, and so on and so forth, and try your inner exercises at that time. However, in terms of where the posture is concerned, you best start off with a seated posture with a straight back. That's your own back, that is, not the back of a chair. That's where you should start. Later on, once you know what you're doing with the exercises, your body position becomes irrelevant, and you can perform the exercises when walking, or for example when lying with a raised head and shoulders, which is actually quite a beneficial position, though not as good as seated with a straight back. Why? The reason why these are written out is that even with modern communications, contact with other human beings to discuss inner topics are something that is very rare. And this is all created so that you can provide all your needs in one simple place without any need for any support from anybody else. There is a lack of material on this topic in English, or certainly any material that goes into matters in any depth and certainly gives real guidance. What there is actually lamentable in English. The verbal advice has never been passed on before in this way, and the lessons here are actually valuable guidance. Now, the entire course is about how to know yourself. And if you think you already do, then I think it's very obvious that you need to start, because you clearly don't. You need to find out who you are, where you came from, and where you're going to. Part of the lesson will involve techniques to help you to tell illusion from reality. I'm not going to tell you which is which, you find out for yourself, but what I will give you is a few tools, not the conclusions. You make those for yourself. I will give you experience-based learning about how to recast your life your way. I am not here to tell you how to live your life or what to want, but I am here to give you the tools to enable you to choose for yourself and make those choices in the most rewarding way. The actual method followed is the Socratic one. In other words, I ask you a whole bunch of questions and I do not give you your answers. You find your own answers through experience. This is hard work, but it is very rewarding, because you discover your own answers and nobody tells you anything, which in a way is a guarantee against any dogma or anybody trying to wash your brain for you. There is no brainwashing here. You find your answers. I will show you the tools. The reason is that a mountain dweller may never have seen fish because he's never seen the sea. What this is a collection of techniques which is like giving you the means to come down and see the reefs, the coral reefs and their life for yourself. Thank you for your attention. I suggest you will gain from following the rest of the course. Thank you. Bye.